Have you ever been looking for just a really good energy date bar that helps bring healing to the gut and focuses on those moods that you're just wanting happy days? Well, today that's what we're going to talk about. These are my no-bake energy date nut gut bars. Yeah, say that real quickly. And this is about healing the gut naturally with the foods God's created, giving us the nutrients we need to balance hormones, balance blood sugar, and also just to have the stabilizer in our mood so that we're always enjoying happy days. It is possible, yet it's only possible with the foods God's given us in the Bible diet. Hi, hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com, and today it's about serving you God's recipe for excellent health, which includes serving you foods from the Bible diet. And the Bible diet is just as simple, eating the foods God called good for us, eating them as close to the way He designed it, and most importantly, don't let any food become an addiction. Well, today, these energy date nut bars are totally satisfying, and they're going to satisfy all three of those principles. So let's get started on how you can make these today. I'm going to share with you 5 recipes, and I know of the 5, one of them is going to be your favorite. First, we're going to start with just the basics. The basics, we're going to use either the Vitamix food processor or this handheld immersion blender food processor, plus my little coffee grinder. We're going to start with 1.5 cups of dates. And so we're just going to go ahead and use pitted dates, not the chopped dates. The chopped dates are coated with different chemicals and kind of non-sticking ingredients that I do not want you to use and I do not want you to have in your diet. So let's start with the simplest way. We're going to use the immersion blender that comes with this food processor. So what we're going to do is add 1.5 cups of dates in this. Now, when you're looking at dates to buy, you're looking for pitted. If they do have pits, just be sure and remove the pits. And even the ones that say they're pitted, make sure you squeeze each one as you put it in because you'll be surprised how many pits are still in there. And if the pits get in our recipe, it's okay. But it's just going to make it a little bit drier. And we want these to be, these are more of our glue for the bars, not to mention the health benefits. So we're going to use 1.5 cups of dates. I hope you realize the biblical significance of dates. I wrote about it in the 7 Foods of the Promised Land. When I see a scripture that mentions food, I want to know why is it there. I know it's not just an adjective or an appetizer to the story. There's a reason why God uses each specific food in every biblical account. All right, so also to this, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of nuts. And the nuts is really just your variety, whatever kind you would like. So that could be your walnuts, it could be cashews, it could be pecans, almonds, whichever nut is your favorite. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and use some almonds. Just get it this way. And the recipe that we're going to make is an almond joy. So I'll show you the base recipe, and then I'll also show you how we're going to add different things. So for an almond joy bar, you definitely have to have almonds. That's why we're using almonds first. Now we're going to use 1/4 cup of seeds. And so your choices are chia seed, hemp seed, and flax seed. But to be quite honest, the best option, I think, is the flax seeds. The oil inside the flax, and it is going to be 1/4 cup of seeds, even though I'm going to mill it and end up with a little bit more. I'm going to use this coffee grinder here. It just does the best with the seeds. Now you can go ahead and add the seeds into this and just let it mill in here, but you're going to get a better, more finely ground if you do the coffee grinder first. So let me go ahead and grind this up and then I'll add it to our mix. Very short and sweet. So what we have when we do the flax seeds is we get the lignin oils, and that is so good for hormones. In fact, women with different ages who just are like, hey, I need help with my hormones, I always suggest 2 tablespoons of freshly ground flaxseed every day. Doesn't matter to me how you get it in your diet, just get them in your diet. All right, so now you can see we just have our 3 main ingredients. We have the dates, the nuts, and the seeds. We're going to blend that up. You can see those dates are quite a workout for these blenders.
Struggling with cravings, fatigue, or confusion about your health? You're not alone. But you don't have to stay stuck. Get the free Bible Health ebook and discover 7 powerful steps to real, lasting transformation God's way. Break emotional eating. Learn what truly satisfies. Align your health with God's truth. This is your breakthrough. Get your free Bible Health ebook now on the website, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. It's time to take the first step toward vibrant health, both physically and spiritually.
All right, now what we can do is a couple things. Really, this is our base. This is exactly what we need to make the bars that we're going to make. Now, we could go ahead and add just a little bit of vanilla extract, enhance the flavor a little bit. If you want, you can add a pinch of salt. I don't think it needs it because the dates are so rich in flavor. I don't think we really need the salt. And then also you could, depending on how much it sticks together, because dates are almost like a glue, but yet if you want to add a little bit of liquid, you could add some honey, a little bit of coconut oil, or you can add some date paste. Well, I happen to have some date paste, or actually it's date syrup, left over from one of my Artsa boxes. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of this in and just to create just a little bit more of a stickiness for my bars. And you're gonna say, I know your comments are gonna say how much. I would start with a tablespoon, and if that works for you, perfect. If not, you could add 1 more tablespoon. All right, so we'll just blend that up real quick. There we go. So it's nice and moist. Now there's a couple ways we can take it from here. I can just pat it into my loaf pan, which is what I did on these bars here. Or I could make it into these little muffins. Actually, not muffins, but I could use these little muffin liners and make them like this. All right, so what we have here is just our base recipe. We could have used pecans or walnuts. Any other nut would be perfectly fine. And we will just pat that down. We want to pat it down really tight, and that's going to make the better bar when we are done. Because remember, we're not baking this. We're just going to put it in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes, and that's it. That's our bars. The second recipe we're going to do with the same base is a cinnamon pecan recipe. So it's going to be perfect for in the fall if you're looking for that cinnamon, nutmeg, maybe a pecan pie type taste. That's exactly what it's going to be. So again, we're going to start with 1.5 cups of the dates. To that, we're going to use the pecans this time just for that warmth flavor that pecans give us. So we're going to do 1/2 cup. And again, we can do chia seeds or flax seeds, but the flax seeds are still going to be my favorite. So I need 1/4 cup of freshly milled flax seeds. And I mentioned that how healthy they are for women's health, but it works just as well for men. Especially if people have dry skin, if they have just irritabilityness, all of that can be helped with flaxseed. What I also want to point out is these bars have a lot of fiber. And that fiber is good for all ages, whether it's a young child, even just a 1-year-old, or whether it's an 80-year-old man. It doesn't matter. We all need fiber in our diet, and fiber is how we begin the healing process. And so knowing that we have good fiber in this, we even have good protein, we have good fiber, and we have healthy fats. Right there, we have our 3 main ingredients that we need to rebuild our gut microbiome so that we can have healthy hormones and healthy neurotransmitters. Okay, so again, if you want to use your Vitamix and you have a bigger food processor, it will just make short work of this. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of vanilla extract and maybe just a little bit of the date syrup. All right, so we're also going to need our spices. I have my own pumpkin spice blend where I just mix together the ginger, the cinnamon, and the nutmeg all together. And remember, when you're cooking with real foods that have a lot of flavor, so dates and nuts, they have a lot of flavor. You're going to need a lot of seasoning. It's like when I teach the healthy bread class, where this is real food that have strong flavors. If you just buy white flour in the store, it has no flavor. So if you add a little bit of cinnamon to white flour in the store, you've got a very strong cinnamon flavor. But with God's foods, it actually takes more to get that strong flavor. All right, I'll blend this up real quick. There we go. And again, we can serve this in little muffin tins in an 8x8 pan as well. This is, if I was going to do this pan though, I would do a double batch. Otherwise it's kind of thin. We're going to go ahead and just do a few of these little muffin cups. Okay, so now we have the cinnamon pecan flavored ones. And boy, if you were here and you could smell the aroma, it smells delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the refrigerator, let them kind of firm up a bit, and then you could start serving them to your guests. It's that quick. This next one is gonna be chocolate. My husband will eat anything as long as it's chocolate. Okay, that's not totally true, but he did say in order to be healthy, when we dropped his triglycerides from 900 to 160 and cholesterol from over 300 to 140, he's like, just so long as it tastes good, that's all I care. And so I've tried to abide by that with everything I serve him. But if I totally want to win him over, chocolate will work. And so for these date bars, this time I'm going to make this totally a chocolate version. So I'm going to add in some organic cacao powder to this. I'm also going to add in some chocolate chips. And that was a lot. You really don't need that many, but I think he's going to love it. Now I'm going to add in some walnuts. Walnuts, I need a half a cup. Walnuts is very important. And also for anyone who just wants to have a healthy brain, you definitely want walnuts in your diet. And then the seeds, I have a blend here of chia and flax seed. So I need 1/4 a cup of that. There we go. And there we go. We are ready to blend this up. Now, if you hear anything kind of clanging or being loud, that's probably a pit that we didn't get removed, and I didn't check every one of those dates, so we might have got a pit in there. All right, so there we have our mix. And so I'm going to go ahead and put it in the bigger food processor, and I'm going to add, this is just a little bit more powerful, and you can also see the different options. I'm going to add a little bit more vanilla and just a little bit of date syrup. You might have some date paste at home. That would work really well. And oh, the other thing is you could use honey. Honey is so nutritious, especially if you're getting it from a local beekeeper, not the grocery store. That really makes short work of this processing. Now, it will have made the chocolate chips a little bit more broken up. Sometimes if you have a chocolate lover in your house, you need them to stay very identifiable. But in this case, hopefully the color alone and the flavor will be enough to let my husband know there's chocolate in there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the brownie bite pan for this. And if you're wondering what pans do I use the USA pans. They just are the best quality and they perform really well. So they have sponsored us in many of our retreats, and so we really love working with them, which I liked their pans even before they sponsored us in the retreats. When I find something I really like that I'm going to use, I like to work with those companies, and they love our mission. And that's another reason why I like working with them. Dates are such a really good food, not only because of the high fiber, but they actually, many people are going to say, oh, I have diabetes, I can't eat dates. Yes, you can. Because when you realize God balances all of the foods he's given us. And when they went into the promised land, there was no diabetes because of the foods that God created and called good for them. It was already ready for them. There was a banquet ready for them. They went in during the Feast of Tabernacles. They went in during the fall feast. And at that time, all of the produce was ready. The table was set. God's presence was there because he always wants to tabernacle with us. And dates, if you remember, in the promised land, they came to the land of the 70 date palms. And this is so important because it also represents the 70 languages that were spoken among the Israelites, and then also the 70 leaders. So the scripture is there. It has so much to teach us about God and his promises and his provisions. All right, so I'm going to stop there, and we're going to fill up the rest of the tray with our last recipe, which is the carrot cake variety. So this is our chocolate variety. I'll put these in the freezer. They'll be ready to just pop out, not freezer or refrigerator, either one is fine, for 10 minutes, and they'll be perfectly ready to serve. All right, now this is going to be our carrot cake variety. This is just a nice twist. So we're going to actually add in about, I'm not going to use all of this, just part of this. We're going to add in some raisins because we want that flavor in our carrot cake. And I already have 1/4 cup of carrots ready to go. Put those in. And definitely we're going to want our vanilla extract for this. There we go. And just a little bit more date syrup. And then I need my nuts and my seed. So for this one, we'll go ahead and use the pecans. The pecans are always my favorite. I do walnuts a lot just because I have one granddaughter who loves banana walnut muffins, which I really need to make that video because they are so delicious. And then we will go ahead and use, we'll see if we have some chia seeds left over. All right, need a little bit more. Oops, I got the wrong measuring cup. There's our chia seeds. So again, we're getting the nutrition, the protein, the fiber, and the healthy fats. So healthy hormones, healthy brain, and healthy skin. We definitely need some seasoning for this. Some cinnamon or some pumpkin spice mix would be really good. So I'll just go ahead and use the pumpkin spice mix for this. Just going to finish up what I have. There we go. That's going to make it even better. If you don't have a Vitamix blender and actually this food processor here also came from Vitamix. If you don't have one and you're like, I really would like to have a high quality machine like that, let me just give you a few tips. Number one, we do have a link down below that gives you extra money off, and they are definitely a good sponsor for our ministry. But also go and look for the reconditioned. Those are always 100% just as good as brand new. That is how I have always saved money. You know, I want to cook healthy, but I don't want to break my budget. And if you're looking like, yes, I want a Vitamix, but I don't want to pay the high dollar, then just go look for the reconditioned. They're always on the website. You just have to look for it, and they're there. And they always warranty their products, even the reconditioned ones. Okay. All right, so you can just see those carrots in there and the raisins. This is going to be so yummy. Again, don't be afraid of dates just because they are kind of a high sugar content, but the fiber and the protein balances. So it is not going to cause havoc for if you have type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes, and you can definitely have this. Now, again, you're not going to want very much because the high fiber. These are very filling. So a serving is just one. If you're looking at this like, oh, I could eat 3 or 4. No, you can't because it's too much fiber. You're going to say, nope, one's good. That tasted delicious, but one is all I needed. Now you just have to decide, well, what flavor am I going to choose? So go ahead and make these up. These are perfect for the holiday. You could put this on a nice plate for whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or one of the fall feasts. This is just a great way to serve your family healthy foods and knowing that you're serving them healthy foods. I will tell you too, we had a full day of cooking classes at our last retreat, and we videotaped those cooking classes. So if you want to have some great teaching and some great, just a full day of learning how to cook between kombucha and fermented foods, from raw milk to yogurt, to everything from beans and lentils to bread to Ezekiel muffins, the day was packed. We had 12 cooking classes and the food was scrumptious. Now, I can't serve the food to you through the videos, but you can definitely watch the videos and make it yourself. So we have the recordings of all of those classes in our Biblical Wellness Retreat page, and you can check that out. All right, this is our last batch to put in the refrigerator, and then once they're chilled, we're ready to serve. Well, all of our date bars are out of the refrigerator. If you want to do it quicker, just throw it in the freezer just for 5-7 minutes, or the refrigerator for up to 15 minutes. Now, I would definitely just go ahead and put these in a nice glass container, maybe wrap them up in some parchment paper and just have a snack to go. But these are so delicious. It's going to look so good on your dinner table, maybe your dessert bar, or if you're doing a charcuterie board. These would be perfect for that. So these bars here, let's just go ahead and finish them up. We're going to cut them into bars. And then I'm going to drizzle them with some chocolate. And then we're going to top it with some coconut. Some say a little, some say a lot. Depends on your family, on your chocolate, and how much you should drizzle. And I do only use a dark chocolate. I prefer 70% or higher. If I can get away with higher and my family will eat it, that's what I try to sneak in. But typically they say 70 as high as they will go. But definitely, if you can get into eating a higher percentage of cacao in your chocolate, you will have a higher antioxidant value. There we go. Okay, that should be enough to please the family. All right, we'll top that with some coconut, and it's always unsweetened coconut, not the sticky coconut that you used to have as a child. Maybe we'll top it up with some finely ground nuts. And you can see how displaying these on a charcuterie board would please every guest in your home. So there we have it. We have antioxidant protection. We have, anytime we have high fiber, that's perfect for diabetes prevention. It's perfect for cancer prevention. It helps to feed the microbiome so we have healthy moods. We need those neurotransmitters, and they're happiest when we have a high fiber diet. So here we have our energy date nut gut bars and many varieties. I'll put the recipes down below. And in the meantime, I just want to say thank you for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. It always includes healthy food for sure, gut healing food, but most importantly, it's a recipe that says God loves you. He's loved you from the moment of conception. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever, and He desires a relationship with you. Thanks for watching.
Struggling with cravings, fatigue, or confusion about your health? You're not alone. But you don't have to stay stuck. Get the free Bible Health ebook and discover 7 powerful steps to real, lasting transformation God's way. Break emotional eating. Learn what truly satisfies. Align your health with God's truth. This is your breakthrough. Get your free Bible Health ebook now on the website, thebiblicalnutritionist.com. It's time to take the first step toward vibrant health, both physically and spiritually.